Hello, my name is Monica. It's been a couple months since the last video I've made. Um, I'm really focusing on myself. Um, for the first time in my life, I'm making myself a priority, and it's weird because I've been a people pleaser in my whole life, and stepping into asking myself what my wants and needs are is it's weird, not gonna lie. But I'm doing the work. I moved to a different state, surrounded myself with different people who actually see me as a person and not someone that they can get something from. Um, so that's been interesting, and for people to reciprocate my loyalty. That's been weird too because I'm usually kind of the one that goes out of my way for everyone else. So it's really unusual for me to find other people that carry that same energy vibe, if you will. Um, yeah, a lot of things have changed in my life. I have been unfortunately needing to set boundaries with family members and friends, people I thought were looking out for my best interest. Unfortunately, um, the situations that have arose, um, have opened my eyes to the fact that they did not have my best interest at heart. A lot of people that I have had in my life since I can remember, um, I I can see I can see them now for who they are and what their intentions are, and I'm choosing not to converse with them anymore or give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm somebody who has always given people the benefit of the doubt because I truly believe that there are, that people are like me that don't have a mean bone in their body, don't want to hurt anyone or cause anyone pain or sadness, any negative feelings, right? I'm always the person who comes into a room, reads the room, and tries to be the peacemaker in the room or, um, you know, make other people feel seen and heard. And now I walk into a room and I see people for who they are. The fact that a lot of people are projecting their insecurities onto others and not realizing it. Recently, my dad, who had a severe stroke in 2018, has had another pretty bad stroke. And it happened shortly after I moved to another state. And I've been keeping up with him. He has been kind of going back and forth health wise. He was doing really well, and was about to be released from a physical rehabilitation or occupational rehabilitation hospital. Um, but unfortunately, there are more medical issues, and he had to be transferred back to the regular hospital. Now, the reason I'm even bringing this personal thing up is because I've been a good daughter my whole life. I've always made sure that my parents are not disappointed in me, um, with my actions, with who I am as a person. I can't help if they don't like my appearance and style. That's something that I've always maintained as my individuality. However, I did very much build my life around what would make my parents happy. And when my dad initially had the first stroke and almost passed, it opened my eyes to the fact that My life was not being lived by me. And so that's kind of when I started um, this process. And it's taken a long time to get to this point where I need to prioritize myself and what I want out of this life and what is calling to me, regardless of how my parents or family feel about it. Because at the end of the day, it's my life and I need to be happy. I need to feel like my life matters to me. You know, I did everything that other people wanted me to do so that I can please them, make them happy, only to realize that I'm not happy. And I believe I've shared this before, but I am diagnosed bipolar 2 and I have general anxiety disorder. Um, it's those conditions are being managed by medication currently. Um, I still deal with anxiety quite a bit, but it doesn't interfere in my life anymore. That being said, I don't do well in environments that are inconsistent and unpredictable and toxic. My mental health suffers greatly, even though I'm medicated, even though I'm doing the self care stuff like journaling and meditation, um, all those things, and shadow work, which has been really hard. Um, so yeah, even though I'm doing those things, my mental health still suffers when I'm in an environment that isn't good for me. So I did share that I got out of a relationship in at the end of November with my partner who was verbally and emotionally, psychologically abusing me. Um, I've also recently found out that my mother is upset with me for not getting out of the relationship sooner. Ironically, uh, she's the one who taught me that those behaviors are okay. So I grew up believing that it was okay for somebody to hurt your feelings, say horrible, horrible things to you when they were upset with you because they were upset with you and you made them mad. So you pay the price by getting called some really horrible names, being verbally abused. And after time passes, you have to let go, even if there was no apology or any form of like accountability taking on their end. If anything, if you do ask for any form of accountability, they blame shift right back to you of like, well, if you hadn't done A, B, and C, I would have not reacted that way. And it's just like, um, okay. You are totally entitled to your feelings, your emotions. You can totally feel those. The trick is how you react to said feelings. And emotionally mature people do not verbally abuse someone that they want to continue to have a relationship with. Um, because it's not conducive to having a healthy relationship. Because when someone calls you horrible things and then later on was like, well, I was just mad, what am I supposed to do with that? Those names were still projected onto me. That you still abuse me verbally, and I'm just supposed to get over it. And that's kind of how I was raised. I was raised to like not be so sensitive, right? When people are verbally abusing me. And I'm going to call it abuse because it is. I'm so tired of people in my family minimizing what was happening or what is happening. I even have a family member who was recently like minimizing my mom's abuse because the word that she used to describe me was not as severe as the words that her mom has used to describe her. And it's that's why the abuse has been going on for so long, is because it it runs in the family. And you know, you can't change them, so you just got to deal with what they throw at you, especially if they're your elders, aka your parents. And yeah, even recently I had a conversation with a family member where they were trying to minimize what what verbal abuse I was subjected to. And I decided um, that I'm still sorry. Okay, I didn't decide. The decision was made for me because this same person um, betrayed me, in the sense that instead of talking to me about what I was going through, they went to my abuser, aka my mom, and allowed my mom to basically convince them to reach out to me, um, because I'm so unstable. She's told them some crazy stuff about me that isn't true or is very far fetched, to make me look like I'm just nuts. You know, I'm just making these irrational decisions left and right, and getting myself into tricky situations or dangerous situations. However, I am completely sound of mind. Um, I was only going to come to the state to visit friends for about 2 weeks, and then I was going to go back. But the day before I left, I got in a very heated fight with my mother, and she called me some horrible names, said some horrible things to me, and um, ended up throwing my phone on the ground. um, yeah, I'm just glad it didn't break, but yeah, that happened. And as I stayed here in this state, away from everything, everyone, for 2 weeks, I slowly started to realize that, oh, this is pretty much the same kind of abuse that I was receiving from my former partner. Um, the no taking accountability, the blame shifting, the verbal abuse, and then the gaslighting of I'm being too sensitive for holding on to that, holding on to something that was never, um, apologized for. Yeah, no, like nothing was done to resolve the situation. Yeah, I was always expected to get over it. And that's why I stayed in my relationship so long, is because I thought that was normal. I now know it's not. um, but I really thought it was. And I don't know if any of you guys can relate to me, in the sense that you woke up to what you were being asked to do and realized it was not okay. And now you're doing what you can to remove yourself from that situation. Kudos to you, because it is really hard. Um, it has been refreshing to be a whole 24 hours away from the state that my family is in, and my ex partner. So it's allowed me to really ask myself what I want out of life, without the weight of what my family wants for me. I'm deciding to be a um, non people pleaser anymore, because at the end of the day, no one's going to come down and save you and say, "Hey, everybody, stop expecting so much from this girl. You know, she's given enough. Like, now you guys need to pour into her." That's not going to happen. Okay. Um, you have to decide, or we have to decide, that you want something different. You know, you don't want to continue these patterns and these cycles that, for me, they definitely run in my family, and they have run in my family for probably generations, where the females are asked to endure some horrible circumstances, including abuse. And, it might not be physical abuse, which is what generally people think of when you think of abuse, but it's psychological. Like, if you were raised to believe that these toxic behaviors were normal, you're not going to know when you get older if you're put in the same situation that's toxic. You're not going to know that. You're going to think there's something wrong with you. Like, why can't you get over um, all the stuff that people are calling you sensitive for? Only to realize years later, as an adult, that that's gaslighting. Um, don't let anyone ever argue with your feelings, okay? You have every right to feel emotions. You're human. Emotions are our body's way of giving you a message, you know? And it's not, don't ignore the message, is basically what it is. But really think about how you're going to react to feeling that emotion. For instance, if you're an emotionally mature person and one of your loved ones really pisses you off, um, in order for you not to say something that you're going to regret later, because, people say some really messed up stuff when they are hurt or upset. So, an emotionally mature person would say, you know what? I am too upset to actually have a um, productive conversation with you. So I'm going to remove myself and go basically touch grass or whatever I need to do to center myself. And then when I feel like I can communicate without that emotion being in the way of my vision, then I will come and talk to you and, tell you how I feel. Um, and maybe you didn't make me feel that way, but I'm just telling you that's how I felt. And we do this so that we can repair relationships, so that we can move forward. But if you I'm so sorry, if you do not allow for that opportunity of repair, it it just weighs on the person who was hurt by you, and they feel weird about it, because it's like, my feelings are still hurt. I still feel terrible, but you know, uh, the person said that I'm being overly sensitive, so maybe I am. And when you're told that you're being sensitive, overly sensitive all the time, you believe it. Gaslighting 101. So, I've had to be really firm with a lot of family members that have reached out to me wanting me to basically rush over back to my home state and be there for my mom and my dad. My dad is currently in the hospital. He's being well taken care of by professionals. I call almost every day to check in on him and see how he's doing. If he can't, communicate with me, then I usually talk to his nurse and just get the rundown on that. I have had family members who are trying to guilt trip me into being Captain Sabaho and just showing up there and doing whatever my mom needs me to do for her. When I really don't owe her that. The first time that my dad had a stroke, I was there 24/7. I literally lived at the hospital. And I was making her life so much easier because, she was worried that something would happen at night when she wasn't there. So I would stay the night. I wouldn't really sleep. I would just, stay the night there and make sure that he's okay. And then in the morning, I would call her and let her know how he did throughout the night. So I was removing a lot of her anxiety from the situation and making her life easier. However, she did not reciprocate that energy. Um, when I was dealing with my abusive ex, if anything, she has made remarks about how I've basically allowed him to treat me the way he did. So that hurts, really. It does. I mean, sure, yeah, I did allow it until I didn't. But again, I thought it was normal. I thought this was all normal. He caused me to lose a lot of relationships with family and friends that I had cultivated over the years. So I was pretty isolated, and it was hard to believe anything different than what he was telling me. So my mom did try apologizing to me about what she said. However, when I kind of was like, you probably shouldn't talk to somebody that you care about when you're upset because you say some really messed up stuff. And then she began to basically defend what she said and her behaviors because of like because of what how I reacted. So it's just funny that she saw my reaction, but did not really understand like her behaviors caused my reaction. um, so when she tried to start throwing that in my face, like, well, I would have not said it if you hadn't. Um, and that's when I was like, you know what, this is not a real apology, and it isn't. It is not a real apology. When you oh, I almost cussed. When you mess up that bad, it is your job to, and you're gonna have to grovel a little bit because you said some messed up stuff that you really wish you hadn't said because it affected the relationship between you two. But that's not how my mother apologizes. It's more so just kind of like, okay, I'm saying sorry, so get over it. But if you like kind of tell her like, you're apologizing to me, but it really did hurt my feelings that you did that. She that that angers her for some reason that you're still hung up on it. And yeah, so the relationship's been weird since then. I've unfortunately seen some messages that she sent to family members. She's claiming that I am mentally unstable. The word used was crazy. So she prefers to go out and tell family members that I'm actually insane, I'm crazy, um, to defend herself from the abuse allegations. And honestly, like I didn't really care to tell the rest of my family like what um, caused me to remove myself from my family's home. Um, Even though I do want to help with my dad, however, I cannot put myself in the same situation where my mom has access to me. And my mom and my dad can't really exist without each other because, my dad is disabled. So, unfortunately, it's better for me to stay away right now for my own sake, for my own mental health, because I work so hard to get stable mentally and emotionally. I deserve to keep it that way. I don't want to put myself in situations where that's compromised, especially when I'm using that time and those efforts to help people that don't care if I'm happy, if I'm healthy, if I'm okay. You know? It's more of a control thing, I feel like, and some of my family members have told me to be the good daughter that they know I am. And it's just like, listen, I was a good daughter at one point, but I only got abused. So I don't really see the allure of still being a good daughter. Like basically, I served my time. It was not appreciated. So I'm going to pull that support back because it's time to focus on myself. And I do have some family members that were not super great daughters to their parents. And so they're projecting that on me like, oh, if I only had one more time with my parent, I'd take advantage of it. And it's just like, yeah, I'm sure you would because you were a shitty kid. Yeah, like you're living with that guilt. I am not because I put in the time. I did what my parents wanted me to do. I lived for them essentially to be happy with me, to not be disappointed in me. Yeah, I did. I was a good daughter, and now that's over. I am in my 30s, you know. Um, at some point, the umbilical cord is going to have to be cut. And just because you guys are all stuck in the codependency cycle doesn't mean that I have to be stuck in it to be a good person. Um, Unfortunately, with my family, if you deviate from what they think is okay, there's something wrong with you, you know? So that's been happening. And I think what I don't like about my family system is they care more about how things look on the outside as opposed to having actual empathy. So apparently, I found out that two of my closest family members, who I really, really thought I could count on, um, were talking about me behind my back, and then also decided to ask my mom, aka the abuser, um, about me. And of course, my mom's going to say some really bad stuff about me. Um, and then they report, well, not report. I'm sorry. They come to me and talk to me, and they're already on her side, which is hilarious because, okay, just so you guys know, there are three sides to a story. Okay, the first person that was involved, the second person that was involved and communicated, and then the third is a version of both of those together. And that's the truth. Okay, because it's hard for people to admit when they've made a mistake. Um, so my family members usually lie to make themselves look better than they are. And it bothers me because it's like, if you did a shitty thing, admit to doing that shitty thing. Okay? Doesn't mean you're a shitty person. It just means you did a shitty thing. Um, However, because that looks bad, they would prefer to just lie about it. And I've been catching a lot of family members that I trusted in lies, and it's awkward. I don't like having to call people out and let them know, like, I know you're saying this, but I have a screenshot of a text message that you sent my mom that um, says some, not nice stuff about me. And we just talked about this on the phone, and you told me I could trust you and you'd be here for me. And then I find out that's not true. Um, so I've just been, to those family members, like, keep your loyalty to my mom. I don't need it. I don't need anyone to validate my emotions, validate my experience. I don't need it from you anymore. I know the truth. I know what I've been through. And now that I'm away from all of it, I have not, like, ever, I've never been this happy and light feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel the weight of other people's emotions anymore. I've been able to kind of realize, like, okay, these are, I'm an empath. Which doesn't mean I'm like it's being an empath sucks in some ways because you do carry other people's emotions, especially if you are taught that that's what you're supposed to do with your empathy. Um, and it's not. you know, um, you could use it to help others. However, it should not be at the forefront of your life. It shouldn't be your whole personality. Because if you focus on other people too much and not prioritize yourself, you will end up like me and be in your mid 30s, um, confused, unhappy, and just numbing yourself. I realized that I was numbing myself with, I guess I don't want to talk about that, but I was not using substances in the best way. And when I got here, I decided to stop, um, which is something that I never thought I could accomplish in my previous living situation. But now that I don't have the constant mood changes back and forth from my mom and just drama, unnecessary drama, over exaggeration of things that are actually going on in life that are being blown out of proportion for the purpose of excitement and drama. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I, with my mental health diagnoses, can't function or thrive in that environment. It kills me and makes me a person I don't like. Uh, and I am scared to death of returning to bipolar depression because every time I go into depression again, it worsens. It's worse than the last time. And it's really hard to fight off dark thoughts when you're in that state of just, chemical depression where your brain is just not producing serotonin and there's nothing that anyone can do or say to take you out of that. I am terrified of reaching that point. So I need to ensure that I'm not in an environment that's going to depress me. And now that I am, I feel like I have way more clarity in my head and direction in my life. And I'm just trying to figure out what makes me happy. I want to keep it that way because for so long I didn't even check in with myself to ask myself what would make me happy. It was just like, well, I have to be there for, these people. They rely on me. Um and that's not love. It's not love for someone to that's transactional, honestly. It's a transactional relationship where someone's constantly expecting something from you. And now that I'm not accessible for what they expected from me, oh, now there's something wrong with me. When it's just like, listen, you are lucky that I gave that much love, attention, and loyalty to you. You were very lucky. You didn't know it because I gave it so freely and and out of love, not expecting anything back. And I'm done with that. I want to be in relationships where someone can reciprocate the love and authenticity that I give them. I don't think it's a lot to ask. I really don't. Um, and so people that can't do that, that can't provide the same energy that I put into them, you can go. You can totally go. I don't have a problem with you not being in my life anymore because it's not about what makes you happy. It's about what makes me happy. And if you truly love me, if you truly care about me, then you'll be okay with that, But if me prioritizing myself bothers you, maybe you shouldn't witness it, Make yourself scarce and go find somebody else who's stuck in the people pleasing mentality. I can't even pretend to do it anymore. Sometimes I surprise myself with how um, snappy I've been or direct I've been with people who try to guilt trip me or manipulate me in any sort of way. I'm able to see the manipulation tactics too. Like they're obvious. Like I'm just like, oh, you're saying that because you want me to say A, B, and C, but not doing that. Like you're projecting on me, and I'm not taking it anymore. So, in conclusion, I am prioritizing myself, and I encourage you to do the same. Life is short, and it's not fair for you to live for other people when they have their own lives and they can live their lives the way that they want to, as long as you're not like directly causing harm to someone. Do your thing, you know and if other people don't understand it, then maybe they're just not meant to witness your growth, because that's what it is. It's growth. To no longer accept the crumbs that were given to you, to no longer accept the abuse that was inflicted on you, and to actually take responsibility for your own healing and your own um, life and the trajectory of said life. So, yeah, I don't know. I just very long rant, I guess, but I do hope that if anyone sees this, that it inspires you to do what you want with your life, you know? Find what makes you happy. And as long as it's not hurting anyone, like I said directly, do it. Um, you only get one life, allegedly. And we have to be able to at least dictate what path to go down with it, despite what other people want for you. Like tell them to take that energy and put it into themselves, because it is not a good feeling to know that you've allowed other people to run your life for so long. There's going to be a lot of rage. I definitely dealt with that for a bit, but now I'm dealing more with like, well, I am going to make my life as peaceful as possible, and I will remove the things that threaten that. Even if it's my own perception, I'm going to do the work that I need to do to live a peaceful life, because that's what I need to be happy. That's what my mind needs to be stable, and it's my job to take care of myself. No one else is going to do it for me. And if the way that I take care of myself bothers other people because it's not selfish anymore, whatever. Again, go find somebody else who's totally cool with still being a people pleaser. I can't even pretend to do it anymore. So, anyway, not sure when I will make a video next, but I do want to encourage you to go out there and ask yourself what your wants and your needs are. Explore those so that you can take control of what your life looks like and the things that you have to put up with, um, and the things that you feel responsible for. So, yeah, I thank you again for listening, uh, and I hope you follow your bliss, follow your heart and your intuition, even if what it tells you is scary and is going to cause some waves. At the end of the day, you're given that intuition to act upon it, not to shove it down. The more you listen to your intuition, the louder it gets. The more you shove it down, the quieter it gets. So choose wisely, because intuitions are their guidance, their divine guidance. And why wouldn't you listen to the divine, who knows everything, who sees everything? That's like your cheat code, you know? All right, well, see you guys later. Love you.